Do you feel lost when your opponents attack your position? Don't worry, because today I will show you a secret strategy that top players use every time against aggressive opponents. For those who don't know me yet, I am an international master and I was named Coach of the Month on the world's biggest chess platform. Today I will break down how to play against aggressive opponents into easy steps, so no matter what level you are at, you can start using these strategies immediately to improve your game. To make this easier, I've divided the video into two parts, the opening and the middle game. We'll use different strategies for each phase to deal with aggressive opponents effectively. Let's begin with the opening, where I will show you how to set a strong foundation from the very first moves. When your opponent attacks you early in the middle game, the best strategy is to stay calm and keep developing your pieces. At this stage, your opponent should not have enough pieces on the board to create a real threat. Aggressive players often move the same piece multiple times, but while they're doing that, you will be calmly bringing your own pieces into the game. By focusing on development, you will move into the middle game faster and with a stronger position. This sets you up to create stronger attacks later on, giving you more tactical opportunities and clear advantage. Let's take a look at this example. White starts with d4, we play d5 because we want to fight for the center as well. Knight c3, we play knight f6, we are focused on developing kingside pieces, we will try to castle soon in this game. The opponent just develops the bishop, g6, and then white plays aggressive knight b5 and they try to fork us. This is a mistake because it's early attack in the opening and we can just move advanced next piece into the game and we defend the pawn on the c7. And then white can see, okay, this is the pawn structure on the king side. It might be interesting to attack the position with the h-pawn. So they push h4. And what we do, we just continue our development. We play bishop g7 and then white realizes, wait a second, I cannot play h5 because knight takes and it attacks the bishop at the same time. So they need some support in order to proceed with this h5 move. So they play e3, we castle, nothing happens, and then they play bishop e2 in order to push the pawn to h5. What do we do now? We look at the position, we still need to complete development, we have 4 pieces that want to play, and here we start with bishop d7. We develop the bishop, it plays actively on both diagonals, look, the bishop looks at the knight on b5, and then white continues the attack, h5, and we take the pawn. Attacking the bishop, they capture our knight, and now, surprise, the knight was undefended because the bishop moved to h5. White doesn't want to have this bishop here, so they go back to f3, and then we play pawn to c5. It creates a space for our rook, allows our queen to find some good squares on the board, so we play c5, they defend it, and then we play rook c8. And if we look at the final position, we are up a pawn, and in addition, white has developed rook on the semi-open file, both bishops, so he has 3 pieces, while we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and also there is one more point for castling, so we have 5 against 3, massive lead in development, and in addition we have pawn advantage. I really like position for black. Let's take a look at another idea for white to proceed with the attack in the opening. So we have the same opening, the same position, white played bishop f4, we played g6, they attack us quickly, we just defended, and now they moved knight twice, while we just moved once. So in my opinion, white wasted time in this situation, and here, this time they can see that we will play bishop g7 and castle, so white wants to create this attack on h6, trade dark square bishops, remove the defender, and continue with the attack. The only issue with queen d2 is that there might be knight d4 with tempo. White doesn't like it, so they play pawn to f3. We continue development, they play queen d2, and now we castle. We continue development, like I said, this is our main strategy, no worries, and then white plays bishop h6. And this is a mistake, because in order to proceed with this attack, white again loses the tempo. The bishop was active, and now they move twice the same piece in the opening. I will take it, queen takes back, and now I will push c5. So this creates again space for my rook to c8. It allows me to bring my queen out. And let's consider a few scenarios. First of all, white pushes this pawn to h4. Now I can just check him, double attack on the knight, on the king. So they go back, I take it, knight is pinned, game over. I win then the whole night. Let's go back a few moves. So this time after c5, white can see that this threat is coming, so they castle. And now I have queen a5, again double attack on the knight and on the pawn. They go back, defending this a2 pawn, and now I will play bishop d7 or I will take on d4, one of these two moves. Let's say I will play bishop d7. I will just continue the development. They play h4. Now I will just take it, rook takes, and I play rook c8. How do you think whose king is in a bigger danger at the moment? I have this knight over here, the bishop, queen on this side, rook as well, and I have many pieces. And while our opponent got stuck with this queen on h6, maybe rook behind, but there is the pawn on the way. In addition, my knight defends very well the pawn on h7. So I play this rook ac8, they attack further our position, and now I can even sacrifice this rook. Pawn takes back, queen takes, and this attack is very, very strong. I will bring in more pieces into the attack, and I really like black's position. If our opponent decides to maybe not take this rook back, just take the pawn on g6, always remember that the knight defends h7, so our king is completely safe. If it's needed, we'll also play rook f7 to protect this pawn on h7. We have other options. We should get a big advantage because our opponent wasted a lot of time by moving the same pieces twice, and we just continued our development, and it turned out that our attack is just much stronger thanks to that. If your opponent attacks you in the middle game, always think about counter-attacking first. This means if they create a threat, your goal is to create an even bigger threat that forces them to respond. Let's take a look at this example. White has a really powerful attack. There is a strong battery on the h-file. Both pawns are very advanced, attacking our position. The knight might be very quick, and if we are focused in this area and concentrated only on our opponent's attack, we might have a problem because we will consider mainly moves like h takes g5, where our opponent mates us, or maybe we capture with the opposite pawn, so f takes g5, but then the opponent can take on g5, queen cannot take it because of rook g3, and this is pin, we lose material. If pawn takes, it leads to the same like in the previous variation, queen h8 followed by rook h7. So in that case, the pawn on h6 is still hanging, so you might play queen f6 move, defending it, and white continues attack, rook g3. Again, we will not take it because it gives white access to our king. And queen, of course, also cannot capture. You will not escape. Knight h7, this is fork, and we lose material. And if you decide to play rook e7 with the idea of maybe blocking it, white plays knight e6 check, king escapes, check, and that's it. You will not escape further because all these moves are attacked by white. So this is what can happen if you concentrate too much on defending your position. But here we want to find counterattack. Let's take a look. What are the active moves that we could consider? Knight takes d3, bishop takes d3, and actually the best move for black in this situation is knight to d5. Very, very nice idea to play knight f4 and fork our opponent. So let's say he takes on h6, we check him, king goes back, we take it, and the attack without the rook will be not so strong anymore. Of course, I think you are interested what happens if the opponent takes this knight on d5. Then we push e4 and create access to white's king. The pawn cannot be captured because of the pin, knight is under attack, and white might think, okay, now black attacks my position, so I will attack his position, and they take on h6, we take the knight, it's double check, king has to move, and we attack him further. Queen d2 check, rook e3, and we try to make our opponent. The position is completely winning right now for black. We are just much faster. And if our opponent decides to move this knight somewhere, actually, I don't even know where this knight can go. Maybe to g1? I would just take on d3 and again bring my queen together with the rook, and we will probably mate our opponent, or we should win this game smoothly after this continuation. And this is the counterattack. I don't think knight d3 or bishop takes d3 will work in this example, but we found knight d5, and this is very, very attractive continuation for black. Now, if your opponent's attack is very fast and counter-attacking isn't possible, the next strategy is to trade pieces. By exchanging key attacking pieces, you can weaken their attack and bring the game to a more balanced position. This is a very difficult position for black. There is pair of bishops for white attacking our king side. In addition, there is knight, very active rook, and white can easily bring the queen into the attack. Let's think about counter-attacking first. If we play something like a4, b3, there is no world where white will decide to take these pieces from the king side and defend the queen side. So I think better idea will be to trade pieces, decreasing the strength of opponent's attack. We play queen b6, pinning the knight, they defend it. We have normal trade, and then we play bishop a6. And this guarantees that we will get rid of the bishop from the board and it will not be involved in attacking h7 pawn anymore. King goes to the corner, we take it, knight, queen takes, knight with tempo, queen goes to g3, and again we have a serious problem because even though we traded bishops, white still has many pieces to attack our position. And in this situation, black has decided to play pawn to f5, opening this the situation a little bit. Pawn takes, bishop takes, knight takes, knight takes. We again traded some pieces. White played bishop h6, attacking our pawn on g7. It's pinned, so mate is coming. Black plays queen b7, defending this pawn. And actually, black solved main problems in the situation. There were like many pieces which attacked our position. We had it was very difficult to counterattack, defend this position, but by trading pieces, now white's attack is less powerful, he has less options, and our position is much safer, especially comparing to the previous one. If trading pieces also doesn't work, then we defend, but with a small twist. Always try to defend while creating a small threat or keeping active pieces so you don't get stuck passively. Again, they attack our position. There is advanced pawn, very active rook, the bishop is over there, and of course the queen also attacks our king side. And our king seems to be quite alone over here. And actually, if it's black's turn, they will play queen g5 check. King escapes to the left or the right, followed by queen g2 checkmate. So we have serious problems. First, we think about counter-attacking our opponent, but the king is over there, we don't have any access at the moment. This option doesn't work. Trading pieces, we also cannot trade anything at the moment. So the next option will be escaping, defending or escaping, but remember to that we also want to create a small threat if we can. And in this situation, in order to escape, this king has to go this direction. We need to move the rook out of the way. And we can play rook c1 and put the rook behind the bishop, but definitely much better will be to play rook d1, because we not only create space for our king, but at the same time we create a threat. Black plays bishop f5. If black decides to check us, I would just show you king goes to f1, check, king e1, and that's it. King is safe, king can escape. Also after this check we play king d2, and now the queen is in danger, has to retreat, so we win extra tempo thanks to that. And that's why black has decided to play bishop f5, and now white has a brilliant move, queen takes f4. This sacrifice is amazing. Black recaptures the queen, and then we play rook h6 check, forking the queen and the king. The bishop cannot take it because there is pin, so the queen has to recapture, and now we take advantage of the weak back rank. So we check him. Bishop again cannot cover the file because there is bishop, right, which pins at the moment, so king has to move up. We check our opponent. The only legal move right now is queen to d6, blocking it. We take it, we trade pieces further, and at the end we move on to drawish endgame. And what we did here is, from the beginning, we just escaped, but at the same time creating a threat. And like you can see, this rook was very helpful with this whole tactic that occurred later on in the game. And finally, full defense is something what we try to avoid, but if there is no other option, we defend our position carefully and look for chances to counter when possible. We look at this position and we can see that white maybe will play bishop h6 here because there is queen behind. They have both knights on the king side. White is it's also possible for white to push h4 and h5 later, attacking our king side. And if we think about the counter attack, the whole center is blocked at the moment. Also on the queen side, there is also nothing to do because this is blocked as well. So counter-attacking options will not work this time. Trading pieces, also I don't see any option to do that. Same with defending and creating some threats. I also don't see it. So probably in this position you would need to play something like rook f8, maybe move knight back, play pawn to f6, and trying to just defend in this situation. But if this happens, it means that your opponent probably has clear advantage in the position, and if you would like to improve, you need to, when you analyze this game, you need to just focus on the previous moves that led to this situation, and I think that you should find some clear mistakes on the way. To recap, in the opening, focus on the solid development while your opponent wastes time moving the same pieces multiple times. In the middle game, always look to counter-attack first. If that's not possible, trade off key attacking pieces, and if you need to defend, do so actively, keeping your pieces as engaged as possible. Remember, even in defense, you should be thinking about your next counterplay. By sticking to these strategies, you will quickly turn the tables on aggressive opponents and put yourself in a winning position. Now that you've learned how to handle aggressive opponents, the next step is to make sure you avoid blunders that can ruin even the strongest game. In the previous video, I covered 5 key mistakes you're probably making in every game. So if you're serious about stopping blunders and improving your results, be sure to watch that video next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you there.